So we're gonna do something that's never been shown before in Café Weltschmerz.
Welcome at Café Weltschmerz Live.
Well, Café Weltschmerz Live. We're gonna talk in English.
Yes, please.
It will be very hard after a full day of work and 2 or 2.5 hours of interview. For me, it will actually.
Yes.
But we have to do this because it's a very, very recent hot topic, which is very important. It's about the independence of Catalonia.
Yes, and not only is this topic about the independence of Catalonia or the failed attempt for independence so far, but we also have someone who is here to explain us why
Should not be.
Why Catalonia should be a part of Madrid, of Spain, under the reign of the Madrilenian government.
Laura, ¿qué tal?
Muy bien. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I know you on a personal level, and you can explain very clearly, that's what I believe, why Catalonia shouldn't be independent. You're quite young, actually. How old are you?
22.
22, and you're from Mallorca. You speak splendid English.
Thank you.
How does that come?
Well, I studied in Ireland and in England.
I hear an Irish accent.
An Irish accent.
Just when I say
dialect.
Ireland. An Irish accent.
And you study law here, trade and investment.
I'm doing a master at the University of Amsterdam, yes, of trade and investment law.
At the moment, it seems like the attempt of Catalonia to be independent failed.
It did, yes.
Yeah. And at the moment, they try to arrest, do I say correct, Puigdemont? Puigdemont. Where is he now?
He's in Brussels, actually, because a Spanish judge issued an international arrest warrant, and now he's in Brussels at the moment because clearly it was in his interest to be there, not in Spain. And then a judge from Brussels will have to assess the situation, see whether the arrest warrant applies, hear the legal case, and then also decide on the issue whether to extradite him back to Spain or not.
Who could ever think that
is he a criminal? Is he? He broke the Spanish law. That is very visible.
Yes.
For the whole world to see. The Spanish law.
Yes.
Yeah.
Prevents you from.
So this guy, he's the Catalonian prime minister. Could we say it like that?
Ex-Catalonian president. Yes.
And he tried to get Catalonia through a referendum. He tried to get Catalonia independent from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Who could have thought 4 years ago that this would happen? Like this guy is fleeing from Spain because of his political ambitions.
Well, I believe that the situation in Catalonia had been happening. The tension had been building up. It wasn't just the 4 previous years that the situation had been happening, and technically the government in Catalonia, what they had been doing for a very long time, they had been indoctrinating people also with the money of Spain and kind of teaching young kids also in schools, and like it's a form of propaganda, and they were just making people hate Spain, hating the unity of Spain.
And you sent me through WhatsApp a message of a little pamphlet on a wall, mm-hmm. From a Marxist Dutch group, which tried to pick up the fight for independence again, yes. And that made you angry.
Well, I mean, I was walking to university and then I saw the pamphlet saying that, support the Republic of Catalonia, when, as a matter of fact, there is no Republic of Catalonia to this day. And it was just saying, a friend of mine and I, both studying law, we looked up this association. It's a Marxist association here in the Netherlands. And there was information about the situation in Catalonia, and what truly angered me was the information that they were displaying in the website everything wasn't true. Like, for instance, they said that 90% of people in the referendum voted yes. However, there wasn't an account of the amount of people that voted. People could vote however they wanted. people voted more than once. Like it wasn't a transparent.
It was a fraud.
It was a corrupt. It wasn't a transparent legal process. The whole process was illegal because Catalonia declared independence unilaterally. The government Catalonia declared unilaterally independence, and as a matter of fact, that isn't a matter for the government of Catalonia. It's a matter for the government and the Parliament of Spain.
But if that is the case, right? What you state.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from, I'd like to go into the whole issue in Spain itself.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is the case, if what you say is right,
Mm-hmm.
right, it's not up to the government of Catalonia to declare independence,
Mm-hmm.
then we would be in Spain right now, because this was Spain once, until a group of people against the Spanish law said, actually, the country of the Netherlands is independent. So there was a law in place in this territorium. This was Spain. We fought the Spanish for 80 years to get them out and to say, this is Holland.
Correct.
A lot of people went to prison. A lot of people were murdered. There was a lot of violence involved. But that was the exact same situation. Otherwise, if you are right, this would still be Spain.
But let's get back to the referendum first, because
No, I
Do you understand?
I understand
The
what you mean, but the
because-
situations are different because that was a process of decolonization. Because under international law,
Yes.
okay, there's the principle of self-determination under international law, which basically states that nations, not portions of nations, says nations should be able to decide internally and externally their own future in terms of culture, politics, economics, etc. However, secession is a different matter. Secession is when a portion of a nation wants to become independent from that nation, because historically, Catalonia was never an independent kingdom. In previous times in Spain, we had different kingdoms, for example, the Kingdom of Aragon and others, but Catalonia was never an independent kingdom in Spain. It was always part of what we know today as the nation of Spain.
so why do they feel they have to be right now? You already told us something about indoctrinating and stuff like that.
Yes, they were indoctrinating the people for a very long time.
And
they're
who
just
is they?
Well, basically the government and parliament in Catalonia, Carles Puigdemont with his supporters, and the regional government in Catalonia.
And what tactics did he use?
He mainly stated that Catalonia, in terms specifically economically, that
Is it about
they-
money and power?
It always is.
It's
It always is.
partly,
Not always. Not
partly is because they were stating that Catalonia was investing more money in Spain that they were gaining in return, which was unfair. However, this also happens in other communities in Spain, and it's part of the system.
But then the Germans could say, let's get out of the EU because we are investing a lot of money in Greece and in Italy. And
Yeah, or the north of Holland from...
or the north of Holland. Exactly.
Yes,
from
but
Drenthe.
I mean, the Germans, if they wanted to get out of the EU, it's their right to do so. However, they follow a legal process. You need to uphold the rule of law. If Catalonia wanted to become independent, then the constitution of Spain would have had to be reformed, because Articles 1 and 2 of the constitution in Spain, which is the highest law, constitutional law that we have in Spain,
But what if
states the unity of Spain.
But what if the law does not provide with a proper procedure for secession or independence of a province?
It does. The Spanish Constitution also has an article, Article 163, that states how the Constitution can be reformed specifically to Articles 1 and 2, which are about the unity of Spain.
What Catalonia is doing is illegal, no doubt about that. We
Yes.
believe you. Is it also unreasonable?
Or immoral?
Unreasonable and moral. I believe that people have the right of self-determination. I mean, we're living in a democracy at the end of the day.
No, we don't. Excuse
Well,
no, we disagree on
Go
that.
on, go on.
We're not.
I think he's thinking in some kind
Officially.
of philosopher. Or what.
Officially.
Yes. Well, and
That is the indoctrination that you
in
tend
practice,
to believe.
in practice, it is different. theoretically, we have democracy, but in practice, I agree that it can be different.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
But what if, so then, that is my real question.
Mm-hmm.
Every democracy,
Mm-hmm.
at some point, will, with the power of a majority,
Mm-hmm.
suppress the civil rights of a minority.
Yes.
You could say that, well, Spain has in place a beautiful law
Mm-hmm.
that says, well, you can change the constitution with a democratic majority. You
Yes.
need a democratic majority.
Yes.
But Catalonia will never have a democratic majority because they are, in essence, a minority group.
Yeah.
So the law is what we call in Holland a wax nose.
Mm-hmm.
If you blow some hot air on it, it is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It is just, it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It says, look, you can be independent. All you need to do is get a majority as a minority, and then you can separate. So that basically
the majority has the domination over the minority.
if you can reach the key that is on that wall, then you can be free.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
you know that my arm will never be long enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that is an idiot rule.
Well, it is kind of an idiot rule, I agree, because it seems rather contradictory, but I believe that Catalonia should have maybe thought twice before upholding the Spanish constitution and being bound to a rule that they would have known would have been contradictory. I mean, personally speaking, if you enter into a contract with someone and you realize that it's going to lead to unreasonable results, you will not be bound by that contract. You say, I abstain from the contract.
But the problem is that sometimes you make a contract that you cannot foresee what that would mean in the future.
Yes.
Sometimes situations change.
Yes, continuously.
Like the British, they joined the European Union. But now, after a decennium or 2 decennia in that European Union, they think, wait a minute, we don't like this contract that much anymore. And it's like a marriage. At some point, you might actually find that you married the wrong person. Should you then be bound to the contract?
Because the guy is saying, no, I don't want you to unmarry me.
Yeah, that's a good point. But Catalonia, I think they have means to become independent, because if they used the right methods instead of doing things illegally, which I believe was their biggest fault. I believe if they did a right,
I hear
if they did things the right way.
I hear your call for the rule of law, because if there is no rule of law, we live in a jungle and we have no civilization left.
Having said that, is there a possibility for Catalonia to separate legally?
There is, yes.
How?
As I stated before, Article 163 of the Constitution, they can reform the constitution, and if the rest of Spain... But they cannot,
because they're the minority.
Oh, no, they can't, because if the rest of Spain saw that this situation in Spain is very tense at the moment, it's not just influencing Catalonia, it has influenced the whole of Spain, it made people divided. If this situation continues like this, then the economy of Spain, the political stability of Spain, not just Catalonia, the whole of Spain is going to be influenced.
Maybe this uproar was necessary to create that diversion, to make people think about this situation in the first place.
I think this uproar was necessary, but the reasons were not quite the right ones. If this uproar would have been, if it would have been based on the right reasons of saying there should be the right of self-determination, and if Catalonia gave the right reasons also to the rest of Spain that they want to become independent, then the rest of Spain would be more willing to negotiate to something that is legal rather than something that isn't legal.
In your opinion, why do they want to be independent?
Yeah.
Why?
Catalonia, basically because of what I stated before, they're putting more money than they're getting in return. They feel that they've been fooled by the whole of Spain, but that is not true.
Are they the richest region? I've read
they have the highest GDP.
They do, yes.
Share of the GDP.
And they're saying that they're the less they're living the less comfortable position in Spain, that they're getting less money than they're returning. However, they have the best quality of life of the whole of Spain. And there's other communities in Spain that are also putting certain money into Spain, and they're getting way less in return.
And maybe they're just got lucky because they have the best climate, because certain regions of Spain are just poor because of the climate.
Not necessarily because of the climate, because the south of Spain, for instance, has one of the best climates, and they're based on...
South of Spain?
The south of Spain.
40 degrees in Sevilla?
Yeah, that's a good... I mean, for Spain, we consider that a good climate. So, but the south of Spain, the problem that it has is just agricultural area, and they don't have many resources. They just live off that.
Laura,
but Catalonia has more resources. Like they have industry. They have more industry. They have more resources.
Let's get back a little bit more back to the subject. If I had married a woman,
yes,
and she wants to leave me, my pride is high enough to say, okay, I want to be with you, but if you want to leave me, okay, then I don't want to be with you anymore.
Even if she's richer than
Why
you
does
are?
the rest of Spain
She's
want
taking
to be,
her money with her.
Why does the rest of Spain want to be so badly with a partner who doesn't want to be with them?
Honestly speaking, the rest of Spain does not really care whether Catalonia leaves or goes. Why would we want to have people that think that they're better than us just because they're in a certain region, just because they have a certain economic policy,
But
and just because they speak a language?
Police officers,
for example,
military,
because they breached the Spanish constitution,
Yeah, the
and
rule
the
of law-
Spanish
to defend-
constitution is the highest law that you have in Spain.
To
You
defend
cannot-
the rule of law, it's a good point.
But I want to get back to your question, because that's a very good question.
Really?
Is the Catalonian Prime Minister, is he a political activist or a criminal?
One man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist.
And what do you think from a personal point of view?
That is true, but probably not that relevant in this context, because technically speaking, he's not a criminal yet because he hasn't been sentenced yet, because
We're dealing with a lawyer.
Physically
He's a
couldn't.
suspect. He is a suspect.
So he isn't a criminal yet. If he were to be sentenced and then the sentence would be upheld, then yes, he would be considered a criminal. Judicial or an activist, I wouldn't consider someone who breached the Spanish constitution, public order, used money that was supposed to be for healthcare, education, and other areas. Also used Spanish money to indoctrinate the people in Catalonia to think less of the whole people in Spain. I would not call that an activist.
How do they do that? Practical. How do they indoctrinate?
Propaganda.
Is it in education or?
Propaganda. How did Hitler get so many people? No, it's true. How did Hitler get so many people to believe that one thing that was so horrendous, and that to this day we would think this is never going to happen, or it would be unreasonable for something like this to happen?
Goebbels.
It's propaganda.
But I still don't get the point why the rest of Spain still wants to hold on to Catalonia if Catalonia doesn't want to be with them.
But that's the thing that I was saying. The rest of Spain, we do not want. Literally, we do not want to grab Catalonia and be like, you're staying here.
No, but
It looks like it.
no,
It
no,
isn't.
No.
It isn't
No.
because
No.
they breached
If
the
you
law.
go to
So Mallorca wants to become
elections with
independent.
police officers and let let them vote and have a barricade before.
I have a
Yeah, but-
Ruben.
But they're breaching the law. So I'm going to start a propaganda in Mallorca.
Let them breach the law. If
No.
you don't
I'm
want
going
be
to
with
start
them.
a propaganda in Mallorca. I'm going to indoctrinate people. I'm going to say, right, we're going to become independent. The very few people that live in Mallorca, I'm going to be like, yeah, Spanish constitution, no longer applicable. We're going to become independent.
Well, they're doing that on Ameland, so
That's a Dutch province.
that's a Dutch Mallorca, basically.
Okay.
Also, a lot of Germans.
Yeah.
No, Ruben, Laura makes an interesting point, because what she is saying, and is this: maybe for the Spanish, it is not so much about Catalonia,
No.
but the principle of the fact that the rule of law is something worth defending. So the civil rights of a minority, but also the importance of the rule of law to prevent total chaos from breaking out. If apparently when there is no rule of law, then all bets are off. And then we live in
an anarchy.
In the bellum omnium in omnes, the war of everyone on everyone. Then there is no... Then you can say the rule of law is so bendable that, well, you could have police corruption. The police just... They
we already do.
Yes,
in Spain, we already
order.
do.
I know that.
They want order. And
I know that. I was on the good side of that. I give them enough money and they let me go.
Why was Rajoy so aggressive? Is it because he's afraid that the whole kingdom of Spain will... Well, you've seen the movie clips on the news.
Yeah, but aggressive in the sense that he applied Article 155 as a consequence of the breach of the Constitution. I don't think that's being aggressive. I just think that's called being the president of Spain.
All right.
Because if you don't uphold, I mean, the president of Spain is there for a reason.
Yes, Ruben.
If he hadn't done what he did, then everyone in Spain could do whatever they wanted with no consequences.
Sometimes, and that's very interesting, because we have to realize that this is all over the world. It's not just Spain, but the violence monopoly has been given to the state. So the state has to make the most, and especially the president, has to make the most difficult decisions there are. When do I use proportionally my right, my monopoly to use violence? Sometimes, and this is very hard, especially for the Dutch.
Couldn't he wait till the results were there? That would be tactically way better than to just bump in with all
results of an illegal referendum. Why would he? I mean, he did. The referendum was held. But people were voting however they wanted. One person voted 5 times. Votes were not transparent. You should wait. Okay, right.
You did not see,
this was illegal. Now I'm going to act.
You did not see this on the Dutch news, but this happened 2 years ago in Holland. Although on a smaller scale, there was about 1,000 people in a demonstration op het Malieveld in The Hague. They were being smashed to bits by the military police. The only thing is, we did not see those videos on the news, but I was there. I saw the police charge with their horses, beat people down in our country, and we never heard anything about this.
What was it about?
A demonstration was called Break the System. Have you ever heard about it?
That sounds very vague and broad. But
yes, it was very vague and broad. But there was disproportionate police violence to break them apart.
Do you think the acting of the police was disproportionate?
I believe that at points, yes.
In Spain?
At points, yes, it was disproportionate. However, again, the government in Catalonia used older women, young children. I mean, parents were going with their own children, striking when they knew that it was going to be a tense and tricky situation.
You also sent me a picture through WhatsApp again. What was it about?
Yes, because now they are trying to, basically they put in prison certain people from the regional government in Catalonia. And they put certain children in the middle of the road in a highway. Yeah, just babies in the middle of the road with a pamphlet saying "Release the political prisoners." Children of 3 years old in the middle of a highway.
That's what you would call indoctrination.
if you want to, yes, indoctrination is complete senseless. Why would you want to use little children of something that they don't even understand what is going on? Let the government do what they're doing, and let the people do what they're doing. But
simple question with the Godwin again. What do you think about Hitlerjugend? Those young children, they didn't know, but they were said, this is what we do. And they had a structure and they had an indoctrination. So if you start with the children, I understand what you say. If you have a point, be 18 years and older. Mm-hmm. But if you start using children who are still in the process of forming a political opinion.
Okay, this small group of Catalonians were wrong. Let's be clear about that. What will be happening in the coming months? Is it over now, do you think?
I mean, the situation is tense. still in Catalonia. I mean, I'm going to be flying back to Mallorca, unfortunately flying through Barcelona, so I hope they're going to be striking. I hope I don't get stuck in Barcelona, because right now it probably wouldn't be the nicest place to be sitting around to fly. But the situation has been tense, and Carles Puigdemont is in Brussels. Don't really know what's going to happen, because Brussels is still assessing the situation, but he has to be sentenced. And all the people that breached the law have to be sentenced. However, I think that the government in Spain should have started moving a very long time ago, because this was happening a very long time ago. And maybe if the government in Spain wouldn't have ignored the situation in Catalonia for so long, maybe this wouldn't have happened. So I also see that the government in Spain also acted wrongly. They should have negotiated more instead of saying, no, you're not becoming independent.
Do you think this is something of all ages? Nations like Yugoslavia, a nation is brought together and it falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like Russia, it is brought together, it falls apart.
European Union.
The European Union, maybe even the United States of America, because under Trump, people were saying that for California should cede, right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't you think that the moving around of borders,
Mm-hmm.
we think that borders are a fixed idea. We look at the map, we think this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But Belgium it only exists for about 170 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still not very united.
And they are breaking apart too.
They have their own language.
Isn't it something that is just always human, that when we are apart, we want to be together, and when we are together, we want to be apart?
To be honest, I think if everyone just focused on making things better in general and focus less on the boundaries.
That is so subjective.
Yeah, but I mean, in Spain,
subjective.
there's a saying that unity. I can think about it in Spanish
Say it
right
in
now.
Spain, then maybe we can.
La unidad hace la fuerza. So basically, unity
Is the power.
is what makes you stronger.
Eendracht maakt macht.
If you work together, it makes you stronger, and that's true. If you usually work in a team, I mean, there's people that are going to do a better job or a less better job.
That's very socialist.
But Switzerland is not part of anything,
wouldn't
and
think
they
so.
cooperate quite good with the rest of the world. You don't have to be in one nation to cooperate.
No, but for example, the good thing about Spain, for instance, is that we have so many different communities, and in these communities there are governments that have different policies.
Is there
Still Spain.
Is there corruption in the government of Spain as a whole?
Yes.
Didn't the Partido Popular, didn't they have in 2014 and 15 the biggest corruption scandals ever in the history of Spain?
Yes.
If that was my government, I would chop their fucking heads off.
Yeah. So.
What I hear from,
But that doesn't mean that you should say, okay, I'm walking away from this bullshit.
what I hear
I don't think walking away is the answer.
What I hear from Catalonia is that
Rajoy is still in power.
What I hear from
They did not take him down.
Well, they did a hearing and he wasn't sentenced because there was no evidence.
Could
But
that be that corruption works really well?
In Spain, it has been working pretty well for many years. Yes.
I heard that.
But it's a little
we're
bit.
doing very well in this country too.
It's a little bit hard to combat corruption when we have no power.
I heard that once in Africa. I was in Mali, and I had a discussion with them, and they said, I was talking to them about their ideals, and they looked at me, and they looked at me again, and they said, ideals come after power. First we take power, and then we get ideals. But that, I said to them, is a very uncivilized way of looking at things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say we don't have the power, or we should take the power first, no, let's discuss the ideals first. And if the ideal is that there is no corruption and that there is independence, because I truly believe that not only should Catalonia step away from Spain, but I also think that Barcelona should step away from Catalonia, and that we are headed towards a world of a Europe of 1,000 city-states, because the bigger nation states and the European Union as a whole defy everything that means the essence of being human. I think that what has happened is, and I agree with you on the rule of law, but I do not believe in a European Union, and I do not even believe in nation states anymore. Do you know why? Because that rule of law that you preach, and that I love as much as you do, has been corrupted to the bone, because it has been dehumanized, because a country like Spain is just too big to rule from just one city.
Yeah, and that's what actually
Yes, I agree.
the Catalonians I speak to are not like, oh, we don't want to be part of Spain. Most of them are actually dissatisfied with Rajoy because they don't feel represented by their prime minister. It's not even that they don't want to be in Spain anymore. They say,
People in
we don't like
Catalonia
this
in the
government.
market
We don't
think
feel
exactly the
represented
same
by
as
him.
people in Madrid in the market.
Yeah,
They are the
people
same
in
people.
Madrid are also tired of Rajoy. People in Mallorca are also tired of Rajoy. People in Castellón are also tired of Rajoy.
And the solution of the Catalonian
But
people is to just fuck off with this.
The problem is that yes, we
The problem
vote,
is not
we
this
vote who
Rajoy,
represent us. We
but-
vote who represent us, but then they make promises
And
that
that is why we have
they're
no
going to uphold, and then it doesn't happen.
And that is why democracy does not work.
It doesn't work because the people do not uphold it right, because they are corrupt and they use the power that they have in a really selfish way instead of thinking about representing citizens.
I have a terrible question for you.
The last one.
Last one. What does your king think about all of this?
Our king upholds the unity of Spain.
All right.
Why this question?
To summarize,
He has a ceremonial function, I guess. But what? Yeah, of course he wants to have the unity of Spain.
I think that especially in moments like this, a person who usually does not speak but knows very well the history of the country and its laws should speak out. I'm not a very
He
I'm not a
did.
very big fan of your king, to be quiet. I mean, he's a terrible hunter.
that's the past king.
Yeah, but also this king.
Also this one.
Yeah, he's no.
Wrap it up, Sven.
I prefer this one to the other one.
Yeah,
to
he's
be fair.
because he's more handsome.
No, I think I'm against harming animals mainly.
Ah.
Yeah.
Let's meet again in 6 months. And, well, maybe we should, I think this all, it will just fade away, right? Like this, no?
Yeah,
Or do you really
have to
feel
wait and
that the
see.
tension in the country is that big that it will happen again?
Ruben?
in
No,
6
the
months?
tension is still
Not
there.
only in Spain.
No.
This concept is only getting bigger. Do you know why? That is what nature demands. It is unavoidable. We can fight to keep the European Union. It will go away. We can fight to keep nation states. It will go away.
Empires
The only-
rise and fall.
Empires rise and fall, and you must realize that this has nothing to do with working together or solidarity, because people will always have solidarity. It is only systems, policies, and structures that are going to fade away and fall. Why do we defend systems, policies, and structures and not our base humanity? That is the real question. Why do we try to fix into rules and fixed systems how we should work together or think together? And fortunately now there's a technology, it's called the internet. This machine is making governments obsolete. And it's just the governments that don't want to die fast enough. We should help them.
I hope you don't get stuck at the airport.
Yeah,
Laura.
don't get stuck at the airport. It's